Oh, where's my theme music for today? All right. All right, peace, everybody. I don't know. I was going to play my music, but instead, I'm going to play a song. You won't see the video, just like taking the words. And we are about to do this. All right.
I'm doing an interview.
Oh, I thought you were finished.
No, I'm starting right now.
Hey, everybody. And then, hey, fam on Instagram. I still don't know how to do this right, but this always works. Um, Peace, fam. Thank you for joining me. I took a or I'm taking a break from the show to revamp it in the fall. But as I told you, anytime I feel like I could get somebody on that could really put this into perspective, I was like, I got to reach out to my brother, my comrade, my friend, M1. Organizer, teacher, father, husband, comrade, friend, artist, hip hop. Those are all the things and so many more. And then like yesterday, I was like, okay, this is where we're at. Now the interesting thing is that song you heard, and for those who are younger and weren't born in 2000, 25 years ago, where the album dropped, that wolf beginning intro, right? It's literally making me think of the white people that voted for Trump and what is about to happen to, say, white people.
Yeah.
As Medicaid and jobs, unemployment, inflation rises. And then, of course, the Supreme Court yesterday basically made it legal to stop anyone. People are saying Latino. I'm like, nah, homies. This is it. This is the target. This is the public enemy target. Every black and brown person has a target on them at this very moment, especially organizers, teachers, professors. And the chaos is maybe not chaos to what they want to do. So it's really dope that I got my homie M1 live from Senegal, West Africa. And thank you so much for taking the time to be here, M. I miss you so much, but so happy for you
Uh,
too.
Thank you for having me here, Comrade Comandante Clemente. I can tell you that, it feels good to be broadcasting from this side of the border and looking, inward towards, like, what the chaos is. It's so funny you played Wolves. I've been doing kind of a kind of breakdown of what Wolves has meant and how it got here. I started using my live on Instagram to connect people with people. I don't often use social media, but because we're
Yeah,
about to go on a world tour, I talked about Wolves today, and it's so crazy that supporting the U.S. Agenda or regime, by that guy is licking the blade. It's hard for me to find, in my personal space, people who do support like what Donald Trump has been doing. But there are those, registered Republicans, die hard, and people who are some black and brown, and that is licking the blade more. They think they can get a car or something. The white man got a car. Why can't I have a car? It is exactly what they believe under Donald Trump could be achieved. So there are wolves out there right now for sure. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and I mean, this is the only time I'll curse, but fuck the United States and what they're doing to Puerto Rico right now. Since August 25th, beginning to do exercises on the southern town in Puerto Rico called Arroyo, and they use it for the beach. They got these huge amphibian ships that are holding 4,500 soldiers, and all of that is destructive anyway. But for people who didn't realize why Puerto Rico's a colony, this is the real life image of why. Because they need Puerto Rico to launch their attacks into the rest of the Caribbean and Latin America. So the irony and cognitive dissonance in a way, and I would love for you to speak on this, that in Puerto Rico since August 25th, right now, there are these exercises to go to invade Venezuela and try to topple the government. I think Cuba may be next, which will be a thing that no one has seen in our lifetime
Yep.
of how that's going to look. And at the same time, Bad Bunny is in San Juan, um, you know, in this historic residency, lamenting about, I don't want my island to look like Hawaii, and 90 miles away, your island is looking like Hawaii. And I told folks, I was going to write this Bad Bunny article. And then I was like, you know what? Nah, I've done a lot of talk with artists. The best thing that he has done is awaken the imagination of how people can be free in Puerto Rico for a younger generation. My job at this time is to be a mentor and to help facilitate that. But that cognitive dissonance, I mean, do you see that? Like, how can people maybe do this one thing and not ignore, but in the back of the mind, and as well as how people are within that context of Gaza, because you've been to Gaza, and I think
Yeah.
you were 10 years ago, so you've been seeing everything. Like, what do you
You know what's so crazy is that for Puerto Rico being so close, we have been trying to, or we have been doing the job of exposing the United States government's agenda in its own territory since Vieques and long before. And so it's to now see that thing is one has not there's a continuous um, line, unbroken agenda that you have documented the whole way. I think you're exactly right when you start talking about our position with certain artists, at least with people like Bad Bunny. Why? Because at least he is not, even though he sat down with, he is not Cali. At least and you are the person who can take his alley oop and slam dunk it. That is, I think, more than anything we can say. At least he serves the purpose, like you said, of awakening a certain amount of imagination. We have to then apply what we have known how to do, which is politicize this, make it make sense, and you are that person, especially for PR and for the world. I mean, Africa and Gaza, so as you have always identified yourself, Afro Boricua and more. I just think that speaks to the fact that you cannot, have the cognitive dissonance in a way that allows you not to see to see Gaza and not to see Puerto Rico, or even many other places that we can name at this point. The war on the front line is on, and maybe it is the smoke and mirrors. Maybe it is the constant attacks. Maybe it is battle fatigue. Maybe it's the wherewithal that does get in the way of us being able to see the big picture. And I won't make any excuses for any of us, but I do know that was something that I was experiencing in the US, and look forward to since I've been here in Africa, watching Al Jazeera, watching, France TV, because this is a francophone country, or at least the colonial dominated country is France, and then being able to watch, US right wing television has been definitely more eye opening to like how the disengaging, or how many battle fronts there are, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like even watching BBC, then you look at the media. I mean, I don't even think it's media anymore. All these mainstream legacy organizations are crumbling, and then they capitulated to Trump. They weren't good before, but now it's like y'all are purposely ignoring things and spending now 2 weeks on Jeffrey Epstein. And we
Exactly.
know why, like we know why, but to continue to do it, and then you see MSNBC firing someone like Joyanne Reed, who people think she was revolutionary, and she wasn't. MSNBC has been holding the water for the Democratic Party. But in all your music, you have always addressed this. So, Let's Get Free drops in 2025 years later. What is it like to see the growth? I mean, age-wise, but also everything y'all saying is happening right now. And I think a good artist always has a vision.
you know, as I watch Trump invade Chicago and send troops into DC, I hear police state, and it's unfortunate that I can hear, our song Police State, and Chairman O'Malley talking about, the haves and the have-nots and protecting property. And you see, this is exactly, where we stand, today. And so I have to say, in that 25-year process, Rosa, I attempted to be a more effective and impactful revolutionary. This occupation, this job that we have, is one that we're ever learning and ever in the classroom. And so, with that being said, I wish we had taken a few more steps in this 25 years toward like a liberated process. Definitely being able to like see capitalism for what it is, call colonialism, and see neo-colonialism for what it is. But hey, we are where we are. The ups and downs of that are part of what it means to be liberators. This ain't romantic. This ain't a fairy tale. And I have to be honest about it, me not achieving that. Maybe there were some points where I felt demoralized that we couldn't get some of our freedom fighters home, who were integral to proving that our fight was legitimate. People like Mutulu and so many more. But I can Shakur, that is for those of you who need the last name reference. I can tell you that I'm happy that we are. There is still some movement where it is that people are in the streets. That people not that that's enough. I know there's people who are like, not another MF protest will I attend, and I don't blame you. However, there is still exposure. I think when we saw like the crisis of colonialism and capitalism and its explanation, thank you to people like Kwame Nkrumah, I don't think we saw the dictatorship, the rear your head back, ugly dictatorship that Trump would present. But I do think it is a very uh, great organizing tool, and I don't know how to put it any other way. As
Well,
somebody
that's
who
what it was.
wishes,
Yeah,
yeah,
you
yeah,
weren't you became an you weren't you're also an organizer. And
right.
it's also like 25 years, you have reawakened millions of people, like, that in itself. And I mean, I was so blessed to spend like 2 to 3 years hard on the road with y'all, and I would just like you could see people as you know, especially when we were at in South Africa, and
Yeah.
I don't I think it might have been Durban. No, I think it might. Yeah, I think it might have
Yeah,
been
it was
Durban.
Durban. It was
Yeah,
Durban.
y'all did Durban, Soweto, and somewhere
Yeah.
else. I wasn't on one of those, but one of the shows, I still see the picture. So you and Stick on the stage, and the song comes out. I'm an African, and literally the crowd, and then you had like younger African people crying, and you had some
Yeah.
of the United States young people like you ain't heard I'm an African until you're in Africa with African people.
And
And
you know, it's so crazy. I haven't performed that in Africa since that.
well, you're in Senegal now, so you'll have to do a one-man show. Or have a big cookout at your house and play the whole album. I mean, for me, I was living in Albany, and my homie Victoria, we were beginning to work on the Amadou Diallo trial. For people that don't know, Amadou Diallo was a young African that was murdered in the Bronx, 41 bullet shots, and at that time it was the most shots ever by the NYPD and what they call the jump out crew boys, right? For some weird reason, they moved, I know why, but they moved the trial from the Bronx to Albany.
Yeah.
And then like a month before that, I think the album had just dropped. I
Yeah.
remember going around trying to find a store that was open with my homie, right? And then when we listened, I was like, "Oh, we about to turn Albany up.
Yeah.
They moved the Diallo trial to here. This is a perfect soundtrack. Now we'll go and organize the Capital
Yeah.
Region." You know what I'm saying? So like,
Okay.
even before I met y'all, and then when I did for a couple months, I was like, I cannot believe I'm like, these are my friends. My God.
Yeah.
So for me, being not an artist or an organizer, there were also most of your concerts. You always either brought a person and something that was going on, but I mean the impact on the political prisoners. If you could talk more about that, because I mean, not only do you both addressed it, for you personally, I know that that was like the number one thing that you were always gonna work with, and you've met a lot of our political prisoners while they were incarcerated, and now that some are free. And I think, like Cabral said, claim no easy victories. And I'm always like, we need to claim more of the political prisoner struggle, because all people hear is this president pardoned them, this governor pardoned them. No, the movement worked for them to get out.
Yes.
So if you could speak to just
I
yeah,
mean, look,
yeah, you've been with most of them, man, in or out the
yeah,
walls.
I mean, long live Chip Fitzgerald, you know what I'm saying, who passed. Eddie Conway, Sundiata Acoli, Sekou Odinga. I could name, you know, so many people who have and are still putting in work. Shout out to Mumia Abu Jamal, who still endures some of the worst conditions and it's still the most vocal. Just a shining example. When I'm down in my deepest, darkest place, I think of what Mumia it has been going through. And some of us may see pictures of like the old Mumia, but what they've done to him is a crying shame. I mean, sometimes I've shed many tears and I had little, because of the commitment that I've taken on, and not, only because of the way I feel. I've shed many tears about not being able to free these beautiful souls, and so yes, the time that we are lucky enough to spend on stage in front of audience who we have been the vessel through, because none of this stuff is stuff that Dead Prez made up. We are students of the revolution. We sat and learned how to organize, how to move the opinion of people through, whether it be a leaflet or a newspaper, a conversation, a rally, a Molotov cocktail. And I just got to be honest, we knew that was the time that we had, and that we had to give it up to people who really, really have really paid the price for us to do that. So that's why it's always free all political prisoners and prisoners of war. Always free them all. Always. And we know that where we are, wherever our stage is a place where the voice that you're not going to hear anywhere else can be. So I'm proud to have led like a public stage, a stage with an open mic for, the so-called voiceless, like, because I don't see that enough. And I think that, if anything I wanted to train younger artists to do is do that. That's why when I see like, I don't know, like a Bob Vyland, now, who uses his stage as a megaphone, that is just beautiful to me. That should become a way that we training the next messengers to be. So thank you for being that comrade, being able to deliver that message so eloquently and from this perspective. A woman, a strong woman. We always gave it up. Black and brown power. Always cited the ones who were there, but you, Rosa, represented that that new Lolita LeBron, that new the just everything as we were impacting the globe, we struck a blow, and then you would come with a right hook. So I just really got to appreciate you for that, comrade.
Yeah, like I was saying, I wasn't born into the movement, but the movement raised me, and
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for all those years, and then I the same with me, if I do something with young people and they'll always say, how do you not get depressed? I'm like, well, first I do, and we can talk about it, it's I do think the younger generation has really smashed the whole thing around, like, black and brown people, black and Puerto Rican people always being told you're not depressed, stop it, like, that's not that important. And then we grow and we like, oh, okay. And then we grow more when we see a generation queering the culture, and they
That's
push
right.
back and people push back. And I'm always like, steel sharpens steel,
That's
and
right.
honestly, one of my favorite artists really is Joey Badass. And I remember,
Another.
right, that show you taped with him when he was coming up. He's like, I have never met him, but I was like, oh, those conversations that M had, you can maybe see it in his first album, but in the second album, which
Yeah.
I think is a classic that nobody really has talked about it, kind of thing. But
Yeah.
look, here we are. You're seeing everything from an international perspective. You see what the Supreme Court did. Chicago's now, they're trying to go to Boston next. We are under a military occupation. People find that so difficult to say. Just share with us, like, all the perspectives as you're there while this is happening in this country.
Hey, look, I gotta say this. I was scared, actually scared that I wouldn't make it out. Actually, to be honest, and this was in my own kind of perception, and maybe some sort of my own kind of self-imposed, because again, as a lifelong revolutionary, the idea is that we would free ourselves from within the borders of the United States.
Right.
Again, because this is where I lived 53 years, of my life. So being able to travel through music, and being able to use culture as a mechanism to be able to use for political education. I gotta say, this move has emboldened so many people. I've touched down with people like Killer Mike and Dave Chappelle. I talked to, again, like, some of just my comrades, just Stick and Umi. I talked to, like, people who see me here now, and they're like, wow, this is an option. This is a way that, and not and like, on all Marcus Garvey, repatriation has always been important, right? But with no way does this mean I've abandoned the liberation struggle from inside the United States borders. As a matter of fact, it gives me a more circumspect view and makes me see what Kwame Nkrumah saw, what Patrice Lumumba saw, what artists like Fela Kuti saw, and then now when I'm able to go in, I know strategically where to touch even more. So when I'm in New York, I know I make use of my time and touch down with the organizations that's really like going to be able to help lead people when the troops touch down in Brooklyn. You know what I mean? As I saw Vic Mensa today talking about, every ethnic group arming themselves, especially the white boys with Irish beer Molotov cocktails, talking about who wants some. But bring the troops then. And I think right now is the perfect time for us to be able to say, strike the fire even hotter. That's why, so again, man, I feel like anybody who hears you and who hears this can say, all right, yeah, they are on their they as they are aggressive, we can strategize and we can put up tripwire and we can become even more ready for what we know is going to be the fire this time. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I feel. I look at the streets of DC. I used to live in Florida. I'm so glad when Ron DeSantis was doing this kind of megalomaniac strategy in Florida. I was living in Florida,
Right.
and the walls were closing in. Then I would meet people and they would say, "How can you live there?" But I gotta say, Florida is, Texas is, Missouri right now. You've seen what's happening. You know what I mean? Like St. Louis, as they try to redraw. The basically cheat the
Yeah,
same way they cheat.
the
Yeah,
gerrymandering that's happened. I'm glad you brought that
you
up
know.
because it was happening post Ferguson before it
Yeah,
happened in Texas. Now the thing too that's happening in St. Louis, and I heard Tev Poe online talking about it, is the FBI has been funneling police and more money for police specifically to target black men in St. Louis. I also think that I think this country is very vengeful, and I think white male governors are more vengeful because Ferguson showed a new way. Because
yeah,
fought back, the white genocide people, they never forget, and they're always about vengeance. It could take 1, 2, 3 years, but they always want vengeance of anyone who fought back. And also, another one of the other brothers in the Ferguson uprising was found dead. That's now the fifth brother that we know of. So it's like that's been 11 years here. So when you say Brooklyn and people are like, oh, that would never happen, right? Trump was never supposed to happen. No way
yes,
to win a second time. No way anybody wants him back in New York City. It happened, and the first test was LA. If you can
exactly,
into California or specifically LA like this, that's the right now every quote blue state. No, it's about black and brown people. They're going against the Democratic Party, but all these cities, they're not starting with the little ones. They got to start with the big ones, and
that's
then
right,
we don't know any of the little resistance. We don't know what's happening in Alabama, Arkansas. Are they going to do Atlanta next? Everything that people said that the law would take care of. Also, when has this system ever worked for most 99% of the people? And I'm like, keep saying that shit. And the next thing you'll be like, I wasn't supposed to be arrested.
exactly.
Am I in a cage now?
Yep, exactly, exactly. I think people think there was a point where people thought it couldn't happen, and it's
Right.
so great when you see the intervention in the New York mayoral race.
Yes.
This is, I think, setting speed for what this power intervention. People think that can't happen, and then you see they will break every effing rule to put their people in place. You see, they offered the
Adams.
you see that
I'm
this
glad we
crazy.
don't live with that man. Like what we all knew he was bad, but like so blatantly open.
Open, yeah, and they're offering him a place on the cabinet based on this, or on his cabinet based on these moves here. I look, New York City, get ready. It's time. If anything we've ever trained for, it's time now to put that to work. And I say that as a brother from Brooklyn who knows Brooklyn well. I can't wait to see how we rise, because ain't no way we're gonna sit here and watch. I think this regime, which is, outright white power. I mean, outright come in and try to control, I think, that terrain. He's saying if socialism is in New York, I look, first of all, I can't even listen to what the man says, but I do know that our people knew that it can happen. And if you didn't know, now you do. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
I mean,
So,
and they,
but,
obviously Mondami, and I mean, look, at the end of the day, these are Democratic Socialists of America, including AOC. I mean,
right,
I think from what I know, and a lot of Boricuas are just more and more disappointed at AOC for many reasons.
right.
She's been the least vocal about Gaza,
Yeah.
but like you brought up St. Louis, they did that to literally take out Cori Bush, who was in there for 2 years. I mean, they deemed her so dangerous, aside from the squad, that they put money to be like, oh, she can't ever be up in here again. And now Sister Jasmine Crockett, that's the reason they gerrymandered her.
I
So
know.
Jasmine
That's right.
Crockett has been the most visceral, like dope in all the ways, and then it's like one person, we're going to do all of this shit. We're going to do all of this. We're going to end mail-in voting, all of this. I really think they might try to cancel elections.
And
Again,
you've seen they're saying the 2026 and 2028 elections, that he is the setup is that he can use this power to definitely interfere with those election processes, saying that maybe, they're not fair, the dictatorship is on, man. The dictatorship is on. And again, like I think it's time we ramp up what we know, and really be ready for an alternative to what he's going to put forward. And don't think it can't happen. Think to in the highest form of oppression what it can be, because I think that is what it, of course, is on his agenda. So again, man,
yeah, Mandami's going to win, and then he's going to send in troops.
100%. I see that, and
That's it.
harken back to this. People should come back and listen to this after that happens, because I think you hit you're pushing the exact right. But and we need to. You talk about people. When are we going to expose like APAC in this, and like their ability to control some of the people who are, supposed to be speaking out? I mean, there's a lot. I think that, some people have, put their finger on, that organization, and why so many people are silent about Gaza and Israel and so many other issues. But I do think like organizations that do have like that kind of threatening power, like APAC, should be exposed fully. We should be talking about them more. You know what I mean? And why so many of our so-called representatives are under that thumb.
Yeah, Richie Torres, and a self-announced Black Puerto Rican who hates himself. I mean, he's one of the highest donations to him with APAC. He's the
Exactly.
one that's pushing, 51 I Puerto Rican statehood. And I always use him as a perfect example of when people are like, think that now that you have identified as an Afro-Black Latinx, you're going to have these great politics. No, you're not.
No, you're not.
And then
No, you're
people,
not.
because a lot of that kind of conversation sometimes it'll turn into colorism. I'm like, that's not what we're talking about. Light
Yeah.
skin, all kin, all skin folk ain't kin.
And kinfolk. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That, I
Exactly.
mean, and obviously being who we are, we've been like the Democratic Party, please. And actually, there's no third viable party. The Green Party is like deaded pretty much. Working Families Party is growing, but the idea that people still have any hope in elections and elected officials is like, come on, y'all, like a time. Listen to like the album 2 times, decolonize, decolonize the mind. But Gaza, you were there and you saw all of it, and now you're
I
seeing
did.
what's happening. Can you speak to that?
It's hard to see places where and I gotta say thanks to Arabic, Nancy,
Nancy,
to Nancy, for being able to broaden our political perspective. We are the ones who needed to be activated. It's hard to see the destruction that's happening, the way the takeover of Gaza City today. It's hard to see Nablus and places where we went and did these educational curriculums and empowered the youth. It's hard to watch these places where we literally broke bread. I spent my I want to say 40 something birthday in Gaza, and now they exist no more. That is completely flattened, blown away. In the interest of building golf courses, ultimately, it sickens me. It sickens me, I'm more sick about the fact that the complicity, like, it's happening in my lifetime before my eyes, that like I almost feel like, because I had the privilege to see how beautiful Palestine is, that I bleed. I feel like I should, like, it perishing, I lose part of me. I mean, it hurts a lot. Shout out to people like Saul Williams,
oh
this
yeah,
in, who keep this in our face. Shout out to people who are keep it forward. Like Amanda Seals, Aja Monet,
Sue Hair.
Sue Hare.
Yeah, I just Sue
You
Hair
know,
and Saul are like,
come on. Like, I really, 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 really have to say, like, it pains me to watch them, roller tanks over our precious brothers and sisters, and tell lies in the process.
yeah, and this
So
escalation right now, look, it's a it was a genocide. It still is. It's purposeful starvation. And early this morning, IDF went hard.
yeah,
5 buildings. There is this is the moment where the U.S. and Israel are putting forth an entire extinction, so then in 5 years they can turn that into what they call in the White House. Somebody leaked it, the Gaza Riviera. I encourage everybody to Google that, because it got
100%.
one in the White House. And the monstrous, I mean, there are not enough adverbs or nouns for these people. But what I have been thinking is the United States and Israel are about to be isolated from the rest of the world, right?
Right,
The flotillas. I mean,
right.
the other one, our brother Chris Smalls. Now we got the young sister Greta Thunberg. They dropped a bomb yesterday, and she's like, "I'm going to come back." You're
Yeah.
seeing the rest of the world. You're seeing that South Africa was the first people in the UN to be like, "We see this is a genocide."
Yes.
We see how students. I mean, the last 2 years, fam. I'm always telling people, right now, what they've done to higher education is the attack that comes on history and professors, but they're willing to attack their own people
Come
to
on.
keep this together.
Come
And
on.
so they are, look, if people don't know what BRICS is, it's Brazil, Russia, 3 other countries. Right.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how Russia kind of fits into this. That's not like my geopolitical perspective. I don't know too much about that except
Yeah.
And but that the international world, and now the way Puerto Rico is going to fight back, the U.S. and is isolated, and these are
Yes,
crimes. Like one day he's either going to be dead or he will be at the Hague. But in
100%.
the time, every day to see this, I just don't understand how we can't stop it. Not because we're not trying, and then I go, well, the US and the IDF are the two most militarized countries. And if they wanted to use a nuclear weapon, they probably would. So you're on
Yep.
the continent, West Africa, Senegal. When you're watching this, or like, what is people's perspective on what they're saying about what they're seeing in Gaza?
I mean, first of all, let's just take a step back to the isolation of the U.S. and Israel. When you look at, Russia, China, and Korea come together and plan strategies to topple, kind of the U.S. hegemony over the world, it's happening in real time. And so, what does that isolation mean? People really here got to really take stock of it, about where the stuff that we have comes from, where the material goods are made, and what who benefits from it. Because right now we're not looking. I'm not even in the U.S. right now. The United States is not looking like it's on as powerful as it has ever been. So from where we sit, especially with certain alliances, okay, this is the Sahel region, So you got Senegal, you got Mali right up the road, you got Burkina Faso down the street, you got Guinea, right over there, Chad, Niger, right, and this is all this Sahel region. There's relationships there, and you might even know direct flights opening up right now from Africa, where you don't even have to go through those direct flights to Russia, direct flights to China, direct the
Right.
relationship between the African resource and that new agenda is happening. So yes, to the world, look up, because Africa has always been the resource for the world and still is. We wouldn't even be talking on these phones right now if it wasn't for Congo and what's happening in the DRC. My point being, that's not exclusive to America's Trump's pocket anymore, or his any desire to dig into the material goods in the ground and get the minerals, which is what he wants out of Ukraine. He wants Zelensky to say uncle, so that he can be able to have everything he wants in the ground to build what he can't get out of Africa. I mean,
Mm.
so again, like I hope people are seeing how all of this is matching up. I'm definitely here on this side watching it in real time, and I know that the people on Africa's side are taking note for sure, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, whenever they go invade Venezuela, they're going to try with some other, they're going to try Panama. And I think
Yes.
it goes Venezuela, Cuba, and maybe Panama. So you chose, to move you and your family. I mean, moving itself is always a transition. How has it been? And do you just feel like you're like freer? Like
I
you feel
there was a lot of anxiety around it, because I wonder, how we are perceived, one, as Africans who were in America. I refuse the term African American. Anybody who understands my song, I'm an African, never was an African American, blacker than black. I take it back to my origin. So real talk, when arriving, the acceptance of and I've been in Africa, all over Africa a lot, but this is the first time I have, it's me and my 83-year-old father and my children. We're talking about three generations,
right.
with the intention, to break the colonial kind of parasitic relationship we've had with the United States. And I think that's been a kind of a shock to me. I mean, if I'm honest, because it's not my first rodeo in Senegal. I've been coming to Senegal many years, and down the road and up the road, like you said, we've been in South Africa. I, but this is the first time that my intention is not to make my resources available to the United States, make myself
Mm,
available to the United States in that way. And you're right, moving it is exhausting. But even through that exhaustion, um, um, I am relieved. I do like, I ain't no, let's make no bones about it. I'm not freer, because we ain't free until all of us is free. But I do feel like I have the space to talk about what that means in a different way now.
mm,
Where, you know, to be honest, and we can talk as comrades, for many years, sometimes you feel like we're in a small room with each other, and the walls are closing. And
mm.
so, yeah, I don't feel that feeling, I don't.
Yeah,
So,
and I'm glad because at least in previous generations, there was always this thing where just using that this specific language where particularly like African American folks were like, you don't want to go to Africa. They're not going to
exactly.
you. Then
Exactly.
people from Cape, you go to Africa and people are like, oh, not all you are like these Americans.
Yeah.
No, you know, and that's what's happening in Puerto Rico right now. Post Hurricane Maria, I'm going to use the term of a dope sister. Her name is Yasmin Hernandez. She had moved from Brooklyn about to Puerto Rico about 13 years, but she documented like first, like we were gun ho, and then we get there and we're like, oh, the supermarket is 10 miles away. We live on so we need a truck. But she, it was all in the love, and she called for rematriation back to Puerto Rico.
Hmm.
And now we know people who have moved back for good. So I
That's
think
right.
the things of privilege of being people like us, where we are not set to a desk, a 9 to 5, we can work from anywhere. But I have seen some Puerto Ricans on the island being like, you Puerto Ricans from the United States have no idea what is happening. You live in the United States. You don't have to deal with this. I said, no, we
Yeah.
don't have to deal with that. I said, but come here. Let's go anywhere in this country. You're going to feel the wrath of the police. That Puerto Rican people are in this economic poverty because of colonization. Oh, it went blank. Let me see what happened. Okay, well, hey everybody. Let's hope he's back as we wrap up. Oh no, we lost Sammy. Oh, damn, I think he might have dropped, and yeah, it got dropped, not he dropped. All right. Okay, peace. All right, I think he'll probably come on even though we were about to wrap up. Oh yeah, here it is. Yeah, yeah.
I'm back. Pardon me.
The
Yeah.
damn government, stop it. That's what I'm like. That's what I've been telling people. Social media is about to be out. They're like, what? Em and Rose are speaking? Click, click.
Actually, I gotta blame that on Divine RBG, my Puerto Rican brother from the Bronx.
There with you. Oh, he
So
just
he
called you.
he just called and broke us up, but I didn't even answer the phone, but that's what happens. But I want to shout out. Speaking of Divine, our brother Monse. I don't my our brother Monse is.
Yes, they're calling him.
Okay, good. I'm back. Good.
And
Another
your
phone call.
brother Monse?
Yeah, Monse. Yeah, you do you remember Monse from Hot 97?
Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So Monse is back in PR, and he has done that rematriation that you talk about, and I'm
Yeah.
so proud of people like him as well. And
Yeah, I
as
was
I,
like, we're
yeah,
diasporic. I was like, who the hell made us US citizens? Like, we didn't do this. But
yeah,
what we end up doing for some reason, it's ingrained of us to think that some of our people are better given their geographical location, or that you're not Puerto Rican enough, or you talk
exactly,
about being a black, Afro Black, Latinx people. But the incredible thing about um what's happened in Puerto Rico in the last 5 to 6 years is this explosion of now seeing Black Puerto Ricans like, we're not going to hide, we're here, we're not doing this anymore, we are African, we are diasporic people, and I know we have to wrap up soon, but I just want to tell folks about this, and I would like to get your final thoughts. And
Yeah.
so the reason, so fam, I created this course that's going to start October 5th. It's called The Emergence of the Black Puerto Rican Radical Tradition. This is my part of my dissertation work. And when I say Black Puerto Rican radical tradition, I'm working on the definition that Robin Kelly gave us of the Black radical tradition, right? And in
Yes.
this course, fam, what I'm going to do is we're going to spend 5 weeks really looking at what does it mean to use being a Black Puerto Rican, and what is this radical tradition? Because the reason we are colonized was because we were the first ones fighting back, like the people of Puerto Rico, and then the Spanish American War, and then Cuba won its independence, but we didn't. And why I really did it, peeps, is I applied to 44 positions to be an assistant professor in my field of Black studies. I got 4 interviews, no offers. It
Wow.
really, it really brought me down for like a good couple of months. Like, I'm Rosa Clemente. Like, there are people who got the job that I applied to using my work to get the job. And people,
Wow.
Rosa, like, people want you, but the dean was like, absolutely not, or the provost. Like, I get it, I am who I am. I'm 53. I'm not pulling nothing back. It is what
Right.
it is. And then I
Right.
said, you know what? I'm going to introduce a course. And at first, I wanted to do it for free. And then a couple of my people were like, no, 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 you're going to give to them in 5 weeks what 2 years in the academy would.
Gotcha.
So everybody, I'm teaching this class. You could find it on my Instagram. I tell people I have all questions. Like the first week of this course, I told people no question is a dumb question. And I'm
Right.
like, are Puerto Ricans 1/3 African, 1/3 European, 1/3 Taino? No. And we're going to talk about that. When was slavery abolished? When was the first slavery rebellion, and all of that? And also, I was like, Bad Bunny's caught the attention. This is where we go. It seize the time, teach. And I've been really, like, a lot of people are really thinking of taking the class. And
Good.
I know the one thing I learned when we were all together, and the one thing I really learned as a Puerto Rican who racialized herself once I got um, my correct historical education, is that we have to stick together, y'all. Like, we got to do local organizing. We got to remember that social media is Zuckerberg and them. All of this is going somewhere when they try to target us and organizers and all of that. But at the end of the day, if you don't really know who you are in your history, you will always believe the white supremacy that has been colonized our minds. And that's why I go,
100%.
this is a course to decolonize your mind. It's not your fault. My parents were born in Puerto Rico and didn't even know their history. I was born in the Bronx. I didn't even hear of the Black Panther Party in the 80s. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
Well, what always happens is some people will be like, oh, I didn't know that. And I'm like, okay, well, this course will. So, I hope more people sign up. And I think that's part of what you all have been doing for 25 years, using your artistry to hundreds of thousands of people, even maybe millions. I mean, like, the amount of international travel y'all have done. So you see this 25 years later, you created an intervention in hip hop, period, because also you guys were MCs who were activists and organizers.
Yeah.
So yeah, as we wrap up, like, 25 years, what does that feel like?
I gotta say that decolonization, and kudos to you for this program, for this activation you are embarking upon. Of course, I'm supporting that, and I think it's righteous and should be done. And of course, we knew we would be met with resistance as revolutionary. So again, mind none of that other stuff. I think they open up the doors for us to be strong and do what we came to do. And that's the same as us saying it's bigger than hip hop. And then now you see, and people now can, when you see Spotify and these guys these cheating the artists. That song makes more sense now. When we talk about these record labels, like I say, like dope, you could be next in line and sign and still be writing rhymes and broke, and that is it rings so true, more so than of the assigned artists today who are being sucked dry by the labels, who are now the enemies, who used to be seen as like the lottery ticket, and now they're seen as the plantation. And I'm glad, that this was our perspective and has come more into the light 25 years later. But what I was beginning on is that decolonization is or the idea of decolonization is as effective as for the people who we are decolonizing the minds of, as well as those who don't think they need to be decolonized. Like, I mean, people don't think colonization happened in the same effect in Africa that it has happened in the United States, but there is that perception of it, and there's no way we can all play in this sand pit and not all get sand on us. So
Right.
at the end of the day, what becomes really useful and helpful around it is that we open the eyes of everybody, and so yeah, I just got to say thank you for that. And yeah, we intended for this to be part of curriculum for revolutionary political education, even though Let's Get Free has been brought into many kind of other spaces that felt that they were safe, and I'm glad that the high school teachers used their schools, some of them in a
Yeah.
radical way, and I'm glad that we were able to talk about now Be Healthy. I was talking to Bobito Garcia, shout out to Cool Bob Love, who yeah, who we've been talking in the last few days about how he changed his life off songs like "Be Healthy" and gave us a shot. You already know, as we sat with him and rhymed with him the same way we did with so many people. I just got to say, man, it's like it's 25 years later, I am enlightened. I am. It brings me hope. I played the album front to back yesterday and cried, because I hadn't done it in a while, and because I had never it I since we made it, I never took time to really think about the body of work that it was. But now I can do a reflection, a kind of a reflection, which is good and bad. But we are what we are, and we are where we are in age. So therefore, like me thinking about exactly where I sat when we were, or in my mind and physically, when we were, writing songs like Behind Enemy Lines, which discusses, Fred Hampton, Junior, and other, and the prison industrial complex, or propaganda, or like I discussed this morning, the making of wolves. It just puts me in a place where when I sat in those rooms, in those studios in Manhattan, and when we had Prodigy from Mobb Deep come talk on Be Healthy, it made me think what we were embarking upon, and how bright-eyed, how confident I felt, and gives me confidence still that there's still a hope for our liberation. I just have a couple of more gray hairs than I thought I would. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
also, you and Stick also had your independent
Yeah.
albums, projects, mixtapes. I mean, I've seen numbers of papers in a couple dissertations that have been done, particularly on you all and against this police state apparatus. I mean, I did two academic articles, and teaching about in my dissertation about how, for me personally, and I think Divine and Didon would say the same, that no other MCs embraced us not being, quote, Puerto Rican, but being family and comrades. And
That's
it's an
right.
excellent tool when people want to try to divide, particularly uh, Boricuas and African folks
That's
in
right.
the United States. So I'm so grateful. Like, now we have a reason to go to
Yeah.
Senegal.
Yeah. Come on
You know,
over
we're,
here.
we're going.
Let's
And we
let's
encourage everybody, get a passport. And if you can, leave this country. You could
right.
come back. I'm saying maybe they won't
Yeah.
let you back in,
Yeah.
but who we
Yeah.
don't know. But I mean, to see in 25 years, I also say we grow. Like we're not stagnant people, and we made mistakes 25 and 20 and 10 years ago, but we're in our 50s now. We're like, you know what? We
Yeah.
know what role we play, and
Yeah.
shit we did 25 years ago that we would never do today. I mean, the lack of sleep,
Yeah.
smoking, drinking, all of that. And actually, I mean, props to Stick, because seeing so many MCs of your age die, especially the men, so many, and here you are. So what's your last like messages to the to people watching? And also you can follow M1 on Instagram. He just started doing Instagram lives, and I think they're going to be great. So
Yeah.
yeah, what do you want the people to know?
I gotta let people know that we that dead press is a symbol of African liberation and resistance for all people, and are still creating. You know, we have been working on music for a release that's still coming, and we are perfecting it because we feel like the work that we put out has to be timely and important. The reason why there was a 4 year gestation period from when people don't know this, from when Let's Get Free, when we started working on Let's Get Free, to when it was delivered. Thanks to people like Lloyd Jamar and all the people who we work with in between. So I got to say, like, we are still here. We're still giving tutelage and mentorship to young revolutionaries and artists who are being and becoming and still here. And so, a world tour is upon us. Brooklyn, I'll see you on September 14th. I don't know when this will air, but if not, Atlanta, I'll see you September 28th.
Oh, this is
And
live.
oh,
So
this is live now.
yeah, we've
Okay.
been talking the whole time.
Look at me. Look at my old ass. But
I'll send you the link so you can share on your Instagram.
so good. I should. But
And
so
and the,
good.
the list is out on the Dead Press Instagram. You could see where they're going, and a lot of international dates as well.
Yeah,
So
exactly. So, and I want to say to African so-called Americans in Senegal, don't bring that American bullshit over here.
right.
Don't we I think, we got to think, and some of you are just in there. Capitalism is in blood, but I do think we have to be aware of the karmic debt of what this is. And when I engage you in Dakar or in Gaparu or in Somon or in Sali or in the West African region, you know I'm here to build on a new page. So we're not talking flim flam. We ain't talking that capitalist BS. We ain't continuing that page over here. What we're trying to do is break that legacy. So if you're not, when you see me in Africa, kindly walk past me, and I talk, and that's what that is. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, for real.
Yeah,
So
when people travel, you got to root out the American in you. Like it's the same in Puerto Rico. Slow down.
that's right.
Nobody
Yeah.
in a rush. It's just something that when the more you travel, that's why they have said ugly Americans. But when I don't care about that, I'm not an American. I'm a Boricua, so a black person. So look, I'm so glad we reconnected. I'm so glad to see you in Senegal. The work, come on, like
I
you
love it.
put in the work, okay?
Yeah.
Not just an MC talking about the work, doing the work. So we love you. Our fam loves you. Everybody
Thank
loves you.
you. Yeah.
I'm gonna
Well,
see.
look, I might be just starting, and so I just got to say that I never
Go ahead.
thought never thought I would be, but I might be just starting. So look out, Ghana, Accra. I'm coming up the road. Look out, Burkina Faso. You just down the road. Guinea Conakry, Togo. Shout out to Sion Kuti, MOP, the MOP Center up there in Nigeria. Those brothers are leading this anti-colonial struggle in Nigeria. Shout out to Sion, son of Fela Kuti, and Femi, who we were just in Central Park with. Maybe some of this work, we on a new page. So Act
Yeah,
Two,
and
chapter.
I would
Act,
love to like anyone. I would love to because I've been thinking more and more like I gotta talk to people outside of this country.
yeah,
I would love if you have people that I should interview. I would love that because even though we have information, we still get stuck in the site, this weird tunnel vision of United States, United States. There's a whole world out there. So yeah, hit me up with anybody, and we'll see each other soon. I think
Yep.
maybe sooner. I'm gonna try
I
to get.
got you. I
I'm
got you.
trying to get
Thank
down there.
you. Thank
But
you
we
for
love you.
giving me this platform and sharing your world with me. Shout out to Justin, Alicia, and to the
Absolutely.
world. We coming, Germany, UK, US. I'm gonna see y'all soon. Hopefully Canada and definitely South America. Let's get it in and let's get free. That's
Yeah.
what it is. Yeah.
All right. So thank you so much, M1. I'll see you soon. Safe travels back to the United States.
All right. Blessings.
Love you. Okay, everybody. I hope you all enjoyed. Let me flip this to look at everybody real quick. Okay. Hey, everybody. I'm gonna try to do it this way. So, okay, the class is called The Emergence of, I don't know, I'm gonna look here. Okay. The Emergence of the Black Puerto Rican Radical Tradition. It's led by me. It's 5 consecutive Sundays beginning October 15th. It will be live via Zoom. It will be recorded for internal purposes. This is not a fee where you're like, you have to buy a book and I am gonna have a syllabus, but um somebody bought the books based on what I put about what the first week would be about. You don't have to buy the books, but they're good books to buy if you want. That's not the full list. What right now the the books that I have shown in one of my Instagram posts is the ones that deal with enslavement and resistance and rebellion beginning in Puerto Rico post the United States colonization. Right? Some people are like, I want to do it, but I can only do 4 Sundays and not the other Sunday. Um, but it is $200. People are asking if they could split it up. Absolutely, you do not have to identify as a Black Puerto Rican at all. You know, no age limitations, 16 and up, obviously, because it should be 18 and up, but I do 16 and up. Um, you could Venmo or Cash App or Zelle me. You can hit me directly at clementerosa@gmail. Any more information? I'm going to be posting more in the next couple of days about the weeks and the artists and the music and the documentaries and all that we're going to engage in. And I have 10 seats reserved for 16 to 24-year-olds. Um, I would like these 16 to 24-year-olds who can take the course for free to be Black Puerto Rican as well, or Black Dominican, or maybe, but the most people have been younger Black Puerto Ricans. But um, I had 10 seats, I have 5 left. And all they have to do, or someone email me, like my daughter, my son, my cousin, my nephew is this age. Um, and that's it. Once the 5 other spots are gone, I'll repost. And we have enough seats for 40 participants, and I've gotten about 35 requests for more information. Um, but 9 seats have gone. So we are down to 31 people can still sign up for the class. All right, so hit me, clementerosa@gmail. I do check my DM, so it's just easier if I could just stick to Gmail. You can find everything online. And I think it's an incredible moment in Puerto Rican struggle and resistance that Bad Bunny has really awakened the imagination that other people are, that Puerto Rico is, younger folks embracing their non-binary ways, their queering of the culture, all of that. I think it's been beautiful what's happening in Puerto Rico. And like I said, artists are artists. He's speaking right now to the heart and the minds of our people, and that's beautiful. It's now we got to move the ball forward to really talk about the politics and how Puerto Rico is really an outpost for the United States military to do damage all around the world. And please follow any and all Boricua organizations on the ground. There's incredible organizations, especially the Feminist Collective of Puerto Rico. So yeah, email me. Please share this interview. I hope everybody enjoyed it. I haven't done an interview in a long time, let alone one with M1 for a minute. I don't know when I'll be back, but I do my Instagram lives once or twice a week. So thank you all for joining, for watching. Please share clementehost@gmail for more information on the course. And I'm really excited about it. And I'm grateful for people who choose to spend their time with me. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you. Peace, everybody. Thank you so much. Have a good one.